Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids. Hello, DAMFAM. Hello, all the cubs. And welcome to the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Tuesday, July 1st. Oh, snazzy, Mr. Grizzly. July 1st, 2025. And it is it seems like it's a great day so far at the Beaver Lodge. But hey, that's okay because the sunshine is in our hearts. Today, as I mentioned, recording day, July 1st, Canada Day. So very exciting. And a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. We've got an interesting show for you, kids and cubs, today. But before we do anything else, let's check in with Mr. Grizzly. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today? And I see that you are not at home.
Well, my mental health, can you hear me, by the way?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I can't hear myself in my headphones, but I can hear you. That's important. That's the factor that's really important. Yes, my mental health is spectacular right now.
Yes.
I'm a little tired. I'm in a different time zone. Clearly, I'm not at home. I'm not in studio. I am. I ventured. I'm on a bit of a road trip, if you will. And if you bear with me here, I'm going to share something with you so that it'll make sense in a second or two. A bit of a road trip, and
Just a bit.
have a look at this. Let me just put some volume to it. Hit play.
And there's the famous sign for the world famous Ragged Ass Road.
Ha!
That's the real spot, the real deal. This is Ragged Ass Road. Where's the bush?
So, I don't know if anybody is familiar with Ragged Ass Road, but Ragged Ass Road is here. I am in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories.
Woo-hoo.
We're here for 5 days. I guess we arrived Sunday, and we fly back on Saturday. So here for some work with Rhetoric, which is my beloved Bridget's company. So yeah, a little promo there for my lovely lady. Yeah, so I'm in Yellowknife and checking it out. We saw some sites yesterday. I'm going to try and pull up some clips and video clips and some photographs to share. Not a lot, but just a couple of things here and there, just to give you the lay of the land. This one I think you'll find particularly interesting, sir.
Okay.
Share the screen. Okay, there we are.
And I mean, we're going to be here, we're going to give it some experience.
Yes. Where is that?
That is Bullock's Bistro, which is a literally world famous fish and chips place. Of course, I went, had a Corona Sunbrew, the Corona Zero, because I'm nervous about eating in a seafood restaurant, and I realize most of the fish is lake,
Right.
fish, trout, etc. I don't, I don't run the risk. I just, I don't want to go into anaphylactic shock while on vacation. Well,
Right.
vacation, you know what I mean? Not
Yes.
necessarily vacation, but just it's a working vacation, I guess you could say. Yeah,
Hmm.
a working vacation. So I'll give you one more clip, and then we can get into the meat of the show. This is from the Bush Pilots Monument, which is an old town, which is the oldest part of Yellowknife. Now, Yellowknife as a settlement, for those of you who might not be aware, is not super old. Now, that's Dene people were here, thousands of years ago, but modern Yellowknife, the original, was settled in 1934.
Hmm.
It's not even 100 years old. But I'll show you this little clip quickly. And if I can find it, there we go. It's working in a different computer without two screens is a little bit
Yes.
different for me.
This is from
This
the
is
top,
from
the
the top.
Bush Pilots Monument. Be some good footage from up here for sure. Gonna have to break out the big camera.
Damn, that's so beautiful.
Oh, it really is. And that's, of course, Great Slave Lake. Now, here's the thing. The city of Yellowknife is only about 20,000 people, but it has a skyline. It's got buildings taller than Kingston,
Yep.
which is what? Kingston's 150,000. So it's like, wow.
Yep. Indeed.
And walking around, it reminds me of Kingston in many ways. Uh, it's a beautiful little place. I shouldn't say little. I mean, my goodness, Great Slave Lake is the second largest lake in Canada after Lake Winnipeg, if memory serves.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I had
So yeah,
no.
it's quite something. I'll
Yeah.
put together I was going to try and put together a sizzle reel last night, but it took so long for the photos to upload from my phone to the cloud, so I could download them from my computer to put. So it's just a little bit complicated. So I'll have some video for you when I get back when I have time to really assemble it. So yeah, so because this is a working
Right.
trip. I won't call it a holiday. We had 2 days to ourselves. Yesterday, today, no, sorry, Sunday, yesterday, all day, and we have part of tomorrow before we have to go to. We have a meeting tomorrow around 4 o'clock, so we'll have a good chunk of Canada. No, that's today. This is Canada. See, I'm very confused. Very confused. Yeah, we have a meeting later this afternoon, so I'm going to take in some Canada Day sites and festivities before we go to the meeting. The one thing I need to stress here, though, about Canada Day is there's no fireworks.
Oh, okay.
Well, why would you use fireworks? You can't see them.
Right.
The sun
Exactly.
doesn't set till 11:30, and even when it sets, it's not dark. So,
Ah,
so no
yes.
fireworks.
And yeah, I had a chance to go. I think it's gone. My God, must be about 20 years now. How did you like like you experienced the sun not going down, right? Fully. So what was that like?
Well, the first night we got here, because it's a 2-hour time difference, so it's around 10 o'clock Ottawa time and at 8 o'clock here, and we're looking at one another just fighting to stay awake. Uh, it's not so much the jet lag. Jet lag is certainly a part of it, but it is traveling is exhausting, right? So yeah, we went to bed at 10 o'clock Ottawa time, 8 o'clock Yellowknife time. Last night I managed to stay up till 10 o'clock Yellowknife time. And then I thought, well, I was going to stay up late to watch. And I'm like, oh no, I got to get up at 4:30 to do this show. So maybe I'll go to bed. So I'll be
Ah,
100% honest with you. This morning, I'm probably going to duck out a little bit earlier than normal because I need little bit more beauty rest. I mean, you can tell I'm a little bleary-eyed, and yeah, it's trying to give you a little sort of scene of the neighborhood we're in. We're in technically what is called the suburb of Yellowknife. It's just north of the city. It's a 15-minute walk to the hotel we'll be staying in a couple of days or tomorrow. I guess I'm not even sure. Time is irrelevant right now. But yeah, it's about a 15-minute walk into town from where we are, but you go through the entire suburb. So if you lived at the south end of the suburb, you'd probably be a 5-minute walk to town. So, and it's beautiful here. It really is. Not just the area we're in, but the the Airbnb we have.
Mhm.
I'll send you a video of that later. I'll put some video. Just trying to get everything organized in my head here, you know?
Yep, absolutely. Oh, wow. So, oh my God, I'm so excited for you. I had a chance to go to like I said, Yellowknife about 20 something years ago. It was also for work, and we happened to be there for Pride. So it was like just
Okay.
after the solstice. It was like January, like June 22nd, 23rd, or something. And back then, Pride consisted of free cake in front of the post office at noon, a free swim at the pool, and then a potluck dinner with silent auction at the ski lodge. And um, uh, when we got to the ski lodge, it was 38 lesbians and one gay man from Yellowknife, and then the two of us who were there on work for work. So that one gay man in Yellowknife must have been very, very, very lonely.
Really? Well, I think it's quite a bit different now. I didn't notice any. I saw pride flags up though. I didn't notice any celebrations, but this city is very incredibly diverse.
Yes.
Incredibly diverse. And we met a person here who is charming, absolutely charming, from Toronto originally, moved here about 11 years ago, and she's like, "I'm never going back. This is home. I love it here."
Hmm.
She says, "Everything I could get in Toronto, I can get here," and it's true.
Hmm.
It's absolutely true. She goes, sure, there's one theater, there's one movie house, you know, like one cinema, one theater for live performances. There's some nightclubs, but she says the best Ethiopian food I've ever had in my life is right here in Yellowknife.
Right?
There's sushi restaurants, there's whatever you want. It's all here in Yellowknife, all of it. Sure, you don't have as wide of a choice of, you know, certain things, but it's all here. Like
Yep.
you would want for nothing. And here's the thing that surprised, I think, Bridget and I the most was how we went to get groceries and we're at the grocery store and I'm like, these some of this stuff is cheaper than what I pay back home.
Okay.
Like I'm not joking. Like a big thing of mayo. I paid $8.99 for the Hellman's mayo about a week ago. It was $6.99 here on sale.
Okay.
So but anything you want, it's here. It's all here. So, dining out, some things are a little more expensive. Others are the same price. Beverages are the same price. Real estate's expensive here, though,
Hmm.
but it's what you would pay in Ottawa.
Right.
So it's all relative. And the median income in Yellowknife is $165,000.
Hmm.
So, you know, there's no more gold mines, but there are the diamond mines and federal government. And, you know, there's a lot of there's like 3 or 4 airlines that, you know, Bush Pilot Airlines, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's quite something. It's quite something.
Yeah. I
The
remember.
winters, the winters aren't as bad as yes, they're very cold, but Ottawa gets more rain and more snow than Yellowknife does by a large margin.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's
So yeah, it's because it's arid.
yeah. Some people might be curious or surprised to hear about an Ethiopian restaurant in Yellowknife, but when I was there, there's actually a very vibrant Black community there. When I went there,
Yes,
the first
yes,
person I encountered in Yellowknife was our taxi driver, who was Jamaican,
same.
right?
Same.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah. And you know,
apparently,
this guy was originally from Toronto. And we got to talking. He's been here for 12 years, I think. And he says, "Yeah, I had friends up here and I thought I'd come up to visit because I'd never been." And I go, "Yeah, no, I hear you." He goes, "And I fell in love with the place. So I stayed." I'm like,
yep,
I hear that from everybody up here that I met. Now, there is a lot of transient people come
yes,
in and they'll work and then they'll leave. And, you know, anyway,
yep. And at the time I was there, not sure if that's still the case today, it was the city in North America with the most blues bars per capita.
oh, that might still be the case. Yeah,
Yep.
might still be the case. Yeah.
So,
There's,
just gorgeous place.
oh, yeah, it really
Rugged
is.
beauty, just you can imagine.
You really can't. You have to see it to
Yeah.
experience it. And here's the cool thing I get to see. Coming to you live north of 60.
Da-da-da-da. Live from
We're at 60
Yellowknife. It's
degrees.
the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Well, partly live from Yellowknife.
Hardly live, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For my part, I had a beautiful weekend. We were in the Lakefield area in Ontario by a lake, whole family thing. We rented a cottage for a few days. So there was about 11 or 12 of us. Um, spent the weekend, playing in the water and that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play in the water because my foot isn't strong enough to flop back and forth in the water and make sure that I keep my head above. So, thought of doing it with a life vest and all that kind of stuff, but um, just the dock was a little too high and the current was a little strong, so I figured I'd play it safe just in case nobody was able to get me back to shore. But had a lovely time. And then yesterday, friends and family, larger group got together at someone's house in the Lakefield area, and we had a pre-Canada Day celebration. So we were there from like 1:30 in the afternoon until about 8:30 in the evening. Just lots of food, lots of kids running around, and a whole bunch. So I mean, we must have been like 35, 40 altogether. So just a lovely thing. It's becoming an annual event. We went last year and this year, and it seems that they want to do it again next year. So um, just a just a gorgeous time, really. I had I have absolutely no complaints. And I actually, because we had two recorded shows, I actually woke up every single day except for yesterday past 8.
Yeah,
I'm normally
Friday
up at
morning,
4:35.
I woke up Friday morning at 7:30. It was 8 o'clock, I think, when I woke up. I was yesterday. I was obviously, because it's 2 hours earlier here. I was up early. No, I slept in actually. Yeah, Bridget, I slept until 8:30 yesterday, right? Yeah, I slept in yesterday. What am
Yeah,
I saying? So that would be 10:30 Ottawa time.
I know. I was just not equipped. It's like, wow, this is what it
Gonna give
feels
you
like to wake up at normal human time.
give you a quick. I shot just a 360 video of the Airbnb we're in, and I'll show you this really quickly here. It's quite nice, and it's perfect.
Nice.
So this is the first place we're staying in, Airbnb. A Murphy bed, nice comfortable Murphy bed. You can see we got a nice view of the lake over there. You can see it. A nice couch laid out. And there's a broadcast center. Yeah, it's a nice spot. Well worth it. Well worth it.
Wow, very nice. Some of the
Yeah,
kids were wondering, given that you spoke of your beloved's company, what does Rhetorica do?
Orica is well, actually, Bridget, could you come over here and describe this specific? Yeah, no, that's fine. It's fine. We'll just lean in here.
Hello.
Morning. Hi, Douglas.
So lovely to see
Happy
you.
Canada Day. I still haven't figured this thing out.
There you go. Now you're in frame. So what does Rhetorica
I can't
do?
hear and I don't listen too good either, eh? What does Rhetorica do? So I'm a solopreneur, but I do get to work with fabulous people sometimes. And Douglas. And so I started it a long time ago because I'm really old. 25 years I've been in business, and I'm ready to get off the roller coaster, I'll be honest. Consulting is a real roller coaster. However, what I do is communications and stakeholder engagement and Indigenous engagement. As I mentioned in the chat, I focus a lot on Indigenous rights and priorities. So this is a really cool place to be in Yellowknife for that. Well, anywhere
Yeah,
in Canada, Turtle Island. And yeah, I love what I do, and I'm really happy to be up here. This is my 5th time in Yellowknife, I think.
nice.
And honestly, if I could live in a northern North of 60 community, it would be here.
Mm.
Anyway, I hope everyone has a great day. And my mom's not watching, but happy birthday, Mary Charlotte.
Oh, that's
Prettiest girl in
true.
Renfrew.
Happy birthday. Oh, Bert's mom.
Thanks,
Mwah.
Douglas.
Okay. And happy birthday to Kit Carol as well. Nona. Nice to happy birthday to you. And I know there's somebody else's birthday, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. So maybe when there's a clip, I will elegantly slip away and find out, because I actually noted it on my calendar, but I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So that I can wish you a happy birthday too. It's also a birthday
Mine's
for
on
us, Mr.
Saturday.
Grizzly. Pardon?
Mine's on Saturday.
Yes. Mr. Grizzly's birthday is on Saturday. And it's also a birthday for us, Mr. Grizzly, because it's
Yes, it
3
is.
years ago today that we launched well, basically you launched our YouTube channel, because I wasn't so sure I wanted to do YouTube yet. 'Cause I'm already putting my voice to my thoughts. I'm not sure if I want to put my face to my thoughts too. But
You know, and It all worked out in the end.
It all worked out in the end. I don't regret it one bit because, hey, we have the DAMFAM. And speaking of DAMFAM, now that we have permission, because we asked,
Oh, yes.
yes, we have to introduce the latest member of the best DAMFAM in all of podcasting. If you have not seen him already, he's a total bundle of utter and complete cuteness. I don't know if you have it going, Mr. Grizzly, or if you want me to,
No, I
to bring
don't.
it up.
I don't.
Okay, I will
Please.
bring it up. A total and complete bundle of cuteness. I am melting. I'm sure Mr. Grizzly is as well. And if you have not seen him yet, you will too. But kids and cubs, introducing to you on the Daily Beaver Morning Show for the first time ever, please put your paws up and give a big round of applause to Kit Oberon. There we go. Look at that cutie. Is it showing it? Yes, it is.
I think
Okay, there
it's
we go.
there.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. See,
It
do
is.
you have more photos?
I got 2 here. Look at that cutie.
Yeah, okay.
Look at that cutie. Oh, so melting. I'm melting so hard. Okay, so yes, we are smitten, we are bewitched, all of the good stuff. Congratulations, mama. Congratulations, baby. Seems they are both doing fine. And just joy. Absolute joy. And thank you for letting us, Kit Saucy, share in your joy as well. And Kit Saucy does assure us that this is the last one. But again, as
Yeah.
we reminded you, if ever there happens to be another one, or if you're having a sale,
A sale.
just saying. It's a Joan Rivers joke. At one point, she came on stage one time, first time at a comedy show, and she had a whole bunch of kids, and she said, "Brandon, Angelina, we're having a fire sale."
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
So yes, well, no, just absolute joy. He's such a cutie. Oh my god. Apparently he is doing very, very well, eating well, sleeping well, all the good stuff. Gaining some weight already, which is good. Just 3 cheers. Hip
Nice.
hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Well, I would have flipped this around the other way and had a less backlighting, but nobody wants to look at a toilet, right? So
No,
that's why I
probably not.
chose this. There is a desk over there, but Bridget's working, so I thought, yeah, this will work. Tomorrow will be a different scenario because we'll be in the Explorer Hotel, which is the largest hotel in Yellowknife,
Mhm.
and it's an awesome place. We met a really cool person there who I'm hoping they'll sit down with me and I can record some video.
Nice.
Super awesome, cool human being, and spreading the love. I handed a couple of stickers off and I said, here. And if she's like, "Oh, thanks." It's a political podcast. "Oh, thanks." I go, "We're a progressive centrist who lean left." She's like, "Oh, thank God. I thought you were giving me some sort of right wing." I go, "No. No." I said, if Skippy walked in the door here, I'd get up and say, "Get out." She goes, "Okay."
All right, kids and cubs. So, did I have anything else in the intro before we get started into this? Just making sure I
I
got
don't
everything. No, I think that is absolutely everything. So, kids and cubs, did anything happen on the weekend? Oh my word! It's been a busy weekend.
We were gone for 4 days, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot to cover. One of the big pieces of news, and it's probably the biggest piece that has come up, has something to do with our trade negotiations with the United States, because it seems that today Canada Day is on a Tuesday, and if we're talking about Tuesday, then often, unfortunately, it means that we're talking about Taco Tuesdays. And well, the commander in chief, over the course of the weekend, decided that he was going to have a big little hissy fit. Because
Is
I
what he
don't want.
does, right?
Yep, exactly. Now, we have to look at the context of this. Now, remember, he's got allegedly 90 deals in 90 days, and he's got concepts of a deal on one with the UK. And the original 90-day deadline was um, July 4th, which is in about 3 days. So
Mhm.
he's at day 87 with no deals. So 0 deals in 87 days. Now it seems that he gave himself an extension
Well, no,
somewhere along the way until the 8th or the 9th. But
but he's been there longer than 100 days now, hasn't he?
yes, I think so. Yes. He's
Yeah.
1/18th through his mandate. God help us. Uh, so, yeah, he's obviously not going to get his 90 deals in 90 days. And there's been some talk after he had his little tantrum. It's like, well, we don't need those deals. We'll just be sending letters out to everybody over the next 7 days saying how much they need to pay us in order to be able to do business with us first. Which is kind of interesting because the thing that he got upset about was Canada basically telling digital services companies that you need to pay us to do business with us.
It's not an outrageous demand. I mean,
Hmm,
if he's demanding that they don't pay the digital service tax, maybe Canadian companies shouldn't pay any tax in the US either? I mean, that's my
I
thought
right,
process.
right. So the digital services tax, as many of you may have heard, is a tax that we were going to put on companies, the big tech companies that do business in Canada, but don't necessarily have headquarters or office or storefronts here. So basically, they're making money off Canadians by selling stuff to Canadians, but it's not a tangible product that you can hold, right? And they're not paying any tax in Canada to be able to do business in Canada. So it's going to be about a 3% tax that was to come into effect today. It was retroactive to 2022, so the first bill would have been a little large, $2 to $3 billion. And um, if we all remember, all the people that lined up to pay tribute prior to the inauguration and all the people that were on the stage of the inauguration happen to be the people who have bought the president of the United States, who are all owners of these digital services companies. So there was a lot of pressure on him to have that removed. And Donald Trump sort of came into, well, let's put it, it unhinged its jaw again and decided to speak. And
Yes, it did.
yes. And for some reason, he seemed to be surprised that there was such thing as a digital services tax and that it was coming, which is really weird because we've heard about it a lot, about the United States talking about it prior to this. It wasn't new at all. In fact,
No,
it was
not at
so
all.
not new that uh, it's been a concept since about 2020 here in Canada. But apparently, yes, sir?
It's news to him. News to him.
Yes, exactly. So, Mr. Grizzly, if you would read what Agent Orange had to say.
Me too. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with,
That's a
including the
compliment.
fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for
No, we
years
haven't.
on dairy products. Okay, that's never been levied, ever,
No,
not once.
nope.
You have to reach a certain amount before that tariff is ever levied. Anyway, 400% tariffs for years on dairy products. It's just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country.
No, it's
How
not.
is that? No, it's not. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us also.
No, we're not.
Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada, effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Well, those endings are just so stupid. So let's go through some of that because there was a lot of bullshit there. We have just been informed. No, you have just not been informed. You've known that this has been coming since about 2020. You've probably just been informed that it was coming into effect today, or it was supposed to, at least, but you haven't just been informed. Canada, a very difficult country to trade with. Well, consider coming from you. That's a compliment now, isn't it? We do have the best trade negotiators in the entire world. So, and well, you do what you do, so I can understand why you would have difficulty with us because you're so transformational. Then have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products. That's not actually true. There is a clause in the agreement that says, as Mr. Grizzly noted, that if they reach a certain level of production that comes into Canada, everything beyond that could be taxed at a higher tariff, at a higher rate. But like us with 2% of GDP for NATO, they've never reached that threshold.
Well,
So-
and that was part of CUSMA, right?
Exactly.
A deal that he signed off on and said,
yes.
yeah, greatest deal in the history of ever.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, though, Vermont does charge us a 200% tariff on butter.
Oh, well.
Just so you
there
know. Yeah, learned that yesterday. Just announced that they're putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. Not sure how us determining that if you do business in Canada, you should pay some tax in Canada is an attack on your country. But okay, President me. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing. That's not actually true. Now, there are nations in the European that have done that, and they're talking about that. But actually, we were talking with Europe about doing that, and then we thought that Europe was going too slow, so we decided to move, just put our foot on the pedal and go forward a little faster. So we're not actually copying the EU. It's more like the other way around at this point. And of course, we're going to stop all trade discussions effective immediately because, again, he's not going to get his 90 deals in 90 days. So, what a great better pretext than to say, well, Canada's being so unfair. He's got an interview with Maria Bartiromo, whatever her name is, on Fox, saying, like, Canada cheats because she asked him, right? Says, you just signed this deal with them. And like, says, yeah, but that's Canada cheats. And I'm just like, oh, dude, you are the one to be talking about cheating. Let's talk about your wives. Let's talk about the 34 felony convictions.
Well, let's talk about spending some intimate time with Stormy Daniels while your wife lies in the maternity ward after just having given birth to your son.
Yeah, exactly. So we will defer to your profound and deep and extensive experience in all things related to cheating, sir. So clear bullshit, clear front for the fact that he's not going to get his 90 deals in 90 days and therefore says, okay, well, we don't need that. We're just going to tell you what it is going to cost us now because you didn't succeed. So, okay. Now, Canada's response to that left many of us perplexed, a lot of us unhappy and discontent. And the response was that, yes, we are going to rescind this digital services tax that we've been working on since 2020. That's been ready to go since 2022, but we delayed implementation.
I don't know what the strategy is here by Mark Carney. When I read that the other day, I went, what?
Yep.
What do you mean he's backing down? What happened to elbows up? What's going on? So my initial response is to get up in arms and upset, but I'm not going to lose my mind over it because I'm like, what the hell, dude? That's been negotiated 5 years. We've been working on what's going on. Then I took a sober second thought and I thought, well, this is Mark Carney, so there must be some strategy here. but I'm still not pleased with this. And I
Yes.
want people to, I'm not happy about this. It looks like he caved. Is he acquiescing to get something bigger from Trump in the future and make Trump feel like he's got to win here? Probably. I mean, the man's a master strategist, so. But on the surface, it makes us look weak, and it looks like he backed down. And of course, that gives the pundits and his detractors all the ammunition they need to fire rounds and salvos across his bow. And well, they've been doing that, haven't they?
Yeah, because as Hugh says, we're living in the eternal now, right?
Exactly.
So yes, I was not happy with it. As so when I learned it, I said my first reaction is, "You got to be fucking kidding me!"
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And then yes, a lot of people said, "Well, trust Carney. He's a master strategist." And it's like, yes, I understand that, but as we mentioned as well, right? We don't have enough data points yet to know whether or
Yeah.
not this is part of a master strategy, whether Mark Carney as prime minister is the same as Mark Carney as central banker, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's all very disconcerting and perplexing. I've been reading a lot of stuff, hearing a lot of stuff, and there's one person who gave a little additional perspective that made me calm down a little, and that is Todd Maffin, who we featured a
Yes,
lot
I
on
did
this.
see that too.
Yes. And he was going back through a little history, and we love history on the show. So here's the deal. Remember the Afro Arrow, and we backed down from that, and a lot of people were upset. And he turned out and says, yes, it was a technological marvel, but it is true also true at the time that it was extremely costly,
Yeah.
and doing it would have had us have to invest sort of US style dollars into defense at that time. And if you remember, Kit Hugh telling us on the show yesterday that Canada's traditional position has been trying to like cheap out as much as possible when
Mm,
it comes to that
It's
kind of
true.
stuff. So the arrow was kind of counter to that. And it seems
I think
that
they
we bought,
invested 800 million in the Arrow to get it up and running
yeah, and we
in
bought,
1957.
right. And then we bought Beaumarks instead, which weren't particularly effective at the time. But it seems that out of all of that came NORAD, which has served us very, very, very well up until
Yes.
recently, and not for an exorbitant amount of money.
No, but I'm still mad at the Conservative Party and John Diefenbaker for killing the Arrow.
Absolutely. But in acting, right, and sometimes in life, we have a saying that says rejection is sometimes God's protection for those who believe in God and that type of stuff. But let's say you don't, but
Yeah,
let's just say
yeah,
whatever, right? It's like sometimes
yeah.
you don't get a role in a play, and you talk to your friends who did get a role in the play, and you found out it was a disaster all the way through, and people were sniping at each other. And say, ooh, thank God I didn't do that one,
Ooh,
right?
dodged a bullet.
Exactly.
It,
So we didn't get the arrow, we didn't get the glory, but we also didn't get all the costs, whatnot. And then NORAD came along, and like I said, NORAD wasn't such a bad deal after all. And then he goes back in history and explains a couple of things uh, that kind of give the impression that is this a cave or is this a step back in order to regroup and come back stronger later? Could be. We'll get to that in a second. Now, as we mentioned, we live in the eternal now. So various pundits had various positions on that. I don't know if you're able to put that up there, Mr. Grizzly. But first came Jim Stanford, who is a bit more like me
yeah, I
in
have
the
it.
moment, saying, you know what we should do then? We should tell them that the digital services tax is no longer going to be 3%. It's going to be 20 to 25%. And that'll get the
Yes.
attention of his tech fanboys. Because if they do own him and
Mm,
they see this move happened, because and all of a sudden, okay, you know what? Let's pull a Trump. It's not 3% now, it's 25%. They would go up to him and say, hey, you told us that you were going to get this rescinded. How come it got jacked up? And maybe they would take him down from the inside. That's possible. It's also, however, escalatory
It's
as a move, which then can prompt the possibility, and given Trump, the likelihood of a much harder retaliation that's probably more reckless and even less thought out. So,
Well, it's his fence, his wall, it just got 10 feet higher. Right.
right. And Trump is the type of person, and we've seen this, you, you give him a little pishnut, a little finger flick like this, and he brings 10 Mike Tysons and tries to punch you into the ground. Right. I mean, that's what all of this is about, right? Just trying to make an example out of us to keep everybody else in the world in line. So there's that. And then other people like Goldie Hyder, who is a noted conservative, used to be work for Joe Clark back in the day. Um, his position is that, yeah, absolutely, we should be caving in on this. Absolutely. We're looking for a bigger deal. Anyway, this is just a small sacrifice. Let's just do it. He's the president of the Business Council of Canada. And he said he warned government for some time that the digital tax would not go over well with the Trump administration. Yeah, but what does? Right? We can't live our lives based on that. Quote, that unfortunate development has now come to pass. In an effort to get trade negotiations back on track, Canada should put forward an immediate proposal to eliminate the digital tax in exchange for elimination of tariffs from the United States. Um, we have a bunch of these pundits that are more on the conservative side who seem to still insist that they live in a world in which there actually is the potential of any real deal and not just an illusion of a deal with the United States of America, a country, thanks to its president, whose word means absolutely nothing. We had a deal, NAFTA, and he decided that wasn't good enough. So he came up with another deal, which he now decides is not good enough. Ask
Which
Iran
he signed
how.
and said was the best deal in history, but many people are saying it's the greatest trade deal ever negotiated in history.
Yep. Ask Iran how they feel about the U.S.'s signature on a deal after having dealt with Trump. Right?
He's a petulant man-child who needs to be spanked.
So, but we have this whole class and this whole group of people in the pundit class that keep on talking as if a deal is actually something that can be real with this guy. There is no deal to be made with this guy because whatever deal we make, whenever he wakes up the next day and gets in a snit, he decides that the deal unilaterally no longer stands. So why would we be sacrificing things for a deal that will not be one? Because there's no confidence whatsoever that that signature means anything. It has no worth. And you got Candice Lang, the CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, who reiterated her group's concern that the tax is inflammatory at a time of delicate relations with the U.S., but she said Canadian negotiators need, quote, the space to navigate talks at the table. Quote, negotiations go through peaks and valleys with deadlines approaching. Some last minute surprises should be expected, she said in a statement. Yeah, but it's not like we scheduled this to fall in the middle of these negotiations. We scheduled this way back when we passed the law. And then Trump just decided that we're having these negotiations. So it's not anything we did to them. This was going to be happening anyway. And then he did what he did. And this is how the schedule just happened to fall. So we're in a situation here where not only is he trying to dictate our trade policy, but now he's trying to dictate our tax policy. So my initial reaction is to get my back up and say, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. Thank you very much. We determine how things are taxed in our own damn country. Thank you very much. So again, not happy with it and wondering, like, we traded this and for what for? What did we get as a result?
Well,
Because there's no tangible benefit for us right away, right?
this
It's
from
not like the
PNC
U.S. offers.
Bio.
Pardon?
This from PNC Bio. It says the income from that tax represents 2 days of trade between our countries. Let's not cut off our noses to spite our face. Need to placate him while we reorient Orientate is not a word, Paul. Reorient around the globe. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, okay. That's okay. That's
Yes.
thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank
We
you for
need
that.
to buy some time and whatnot because the other things aren't set up and we're not generating the revenue. But there's a principle at play here as well, right? It's definitely numbers game. 2 to 3 billion is not much in the context. Like our budget, I think our overall budget, I can't even remember what our overall budget is. Maybe about 2 trillion? No, I'm
Well,
not
I
sure.
think our GDP is 3 trillion,
Say 3
so
trillion, yeah. So something like that.
3.03
Yeah,
trillion.
not budget, GDP. So
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
it's not that much in the scope of thing, and the Americans is so much even larger yet. But there is a basic principle at play here, like this: that he stands up, he says, "I want." It's like we give, and what do we get in return? Another punch in the face. We have to remember they punched us first, and they punched us
Yeah.
over again and again and again and again. At some point, right? You want to say, like, just hit him back. And I understand it's cathartic, right? And it's like 5 seconds of, oh, yes, for a whole lot of pain to come. I get that, right? But this one was like planned, passed. There was a law, there was a date. They knew it was coming. They saw it was coming. This was not a surprise. Other countries have done it. This should not have generated this type of response, right? Now, Kipio asks, do you really think the rest of the world looks at us as having been emasculated because the White House press secretary said that's what happened? Of course not, because nobody takes her seriously either. She's a human dipstick. But it's not the point, right? At some point, the point is that we have calls coming from inside the house that are just itching to latch onto this, right? You've seen all this stuff. Oh my God, it's elbows down. It's elbows down. It's, elbows down and on your knees. All of this stuff is happening. So it is a perplexing decision on its face at first. At first. Now, we had Premier Wab Canoe, upon hearing about this, who had decided to very elegantly troll Premier Smith and Moe. Love this so much.
Hang on a sec. I'll bring it up here. Just give me a sec.
But as you remember, Danielle Smith decided at one point that she was going to allow American booze back into Alberta liquor stores, even though they're not fully regulated and can make some of their own decision. That's that type of stuff. She did allow that, and then Scott Moe went better and just removed all action against the United States, counteraction. But Wab Canoe is throwing shade and flipping spade to his two neighbors directly to the west, and it made me a little happy. What
Good
did he
thing
say,
we
Mr.
didn't.
Grizzly?
Good thing we didn't put the U.S. booze back on the shelves. Hashtag elbows up Canada. Yeah.
Was that shade, Mr. Grizzly?
I'd say it's a little bit of shade.
That's a little bit of shade, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Premier Canoe. Gary Mason, who is an editorialist with the Globe and Mail, had a very interesting piece about this that I very much recommend you read if you have the time and the inclination. For some reason, there we go. Come on. There we go. Computer is being a little temperamental there, but we got it. It's called Trump Says He's Ending Trade Talks with Canada Over Digital Services Tax. Actually, this isn't from Gary Mason. Sorry, I'm mistaken. It was from Adrian Morrill and Robert Fife. It was Gary Mason, though, who was sharing it when I found it.
Okay.
So you might want to look at this, but it has a couple of things in here. It says the digital services tax, which is modeled on similar levies by European countries, places a 3% charge on services provided by major technology companies in Canada. U.S. giants such as Amazon, Google, Facebook, Uber, and Airbnb are expected to be affected. And if you look around the world, some of the digital services taxes that have been charged up until now, the average comes to about 3.8%. Um, Now, there's Canadian Senator Hassan Yusuf, who was sitting on the Prime Minister's Advisory Council, said that Trump's move was purely a pressure tactic and Canada should not take the bait. Quote, he's trying to gain leverage on us in the context of the talks and using it to see what he can exploit to keep the pressure on us. And I think if we don't, I think we don't react to it. We kind of expected them to do something dramatic. He thinks every time he reacts like this, he will get a reaction out of us. And I think we just stop reacting and we'll negotiate if we can get a good deal. He said that there wasn't much to talk about the president's announcement during the advisory council meeting. The group is made up of business and labor leaders, and prominent Canadians, members of the council, only heard about Mr. Trump's threat near the end of the meeting. So they were actually meeting, and this came up. He said, Mr. Yusuf also added, there's a lot of pain going on in certain sectors, and we are likely to have more tariffs before we get to someplace, so people should bear that all in mind. So, not reacting, right? So, and basically that's what Prime Minister Mark Carney did. Didn't react. And then he had his finance minister basically say, fine, we'll rescind it. And we'll introduce legislation in the fall to rescind it. And that's where I got a little more upset, I will be honest, because why the hell do we need to rescind the law that it took us so long to pass in the first place? Why not simply elegantly delay or suspend the onset of the tax on condition of successful negotiation of a trade deal that lasts? Why not use it as a sort of Damocles over their head, saying, okay, fine, we will not charge you that digital service tax because we know that if it comes, Mr. Trump, your life will become much more difficult in-house with all the people that have showed up to pay tribute. And so long as we do get a deal in the 30 days, like Mr. Carney asked, and that deal holds, then there will be no digital services tax. But the second it doesn't, it gets slapped back on because we have the legislation. Why rescind the legislation? Why go that far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I'm still upset. But there's more to come. Then we get this. We're seeing clips from the United States. We have Scott Bessent, who is the U.S. Treasury Secretary. I'm not sure if you're able to show that from where you are. If you'd rather I do it from over here, Mr. Grizzly.
Yeah, if you could do it from there, that would be great.
Great, because it's video, and he had this little moment on the news, which had me mm, the ballsiness of it in one way. Sorry, the ballsiness of it in one way really stuck in my craw. Now, this is me reacting, like when I'm saying in real time as things are coming, before I start digging and learning more. But we had this moment where he's talking to the news in the United States. I guess this is for domestic audiences. And he says this here, which really said, basically had me going, are you effing kidding me right now?
We were hoping as a sign of goodwill that the new Carney administration would at least put a brake on that during the trade talks. They seem not to have. President Trump has responded, and my inclination is that Ambassador Greer over at USTR will be starting a 301 investigation into the digital services taxes to determine the amount of harm to the U.S. companies and the U.S. economy in general.
Okay. A sign of goodwill. Are you shitting me right now? You punched us in the face first. You have given us nothing so far. Nothing at all. And you still expect a sign of goodwill? That's the framing you're going with? So by now, my inner beaver is right pissed at this moment. Because what makes you think you are entitled in any way to any goodwill after the manner in which you have been behaving? the lack of self-awareness at play here is really something.
Oh yeah, it's pretty
Uh,
obvious.
and it's going out of your way to be insulting at this moment.
Indeed, it is.
Mr. Grizzly, are you still with us for a bit, or?
I'll be honest with you, I'm fading fast.
Okay.
I really am. I apologize, folks, but it's 2 hours earlier here, and we have quite a day ahead of us. Actually, I'm going to shoot some video today as well. I'll gather some stuff so everybody can see how Canada Day carries on here in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories capital. But I am going to take this moment to say bid everyone adieu for the day, because I do have to go lie down. Sorry, my apologies. But I'm on the road. I had to bring a lot of gear with me.
Yep.
And yesterday I tried to bring out the drone to do some nice aerial photography. You have to be outside of the city because the flight patterns for the aircraft is directly over the city. You cannot fly a drone within city limits. Didn't know that. I discovered that because it wouldn't take off. It would not allow me to do it. So anyway, I'm going to bid you all adieu. I'll have some footage for you folks tomorrow of the Canada Day celebrations here in Yellowknife. Until I see you again, you take care. I'm going to go get some rest.
Thank you, my friend. Rest well.
You're welcome. Bye.
As we say on the show, self-care before everything, right? And going through the chat here and seeing, I now, the DAMFAM reminded me of the other birthday. And how could I ever forget? Oh my God. The lovely, wonderful, utterly delicious, fierce, and fabulous Kit Jen. Happy birthday, my lovely. Ah, I hope it is as fabulous and fierce as you are. And we know that you are. So there you go. And lots of oohing and eyeing for Kit Overon with Kit Jen. Exactly, saying he's got so many DAMFAM aunties and uncles. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree here. So, talking about this digital services taxes again, right? There was an interview with an international trade lawyer, Lawrence Herman, who's a former diplomat and senior fellow with the CDAO Institute. And he also had some interesting views on that, and I'm going to present that to you now, and then we'll get back into why this may not actually be the cave that it seems to be on its face in a second here. But first, let's hear from this very experienced trade lawyer who had a take on it, which again, at the time, before I learning out more, I very much agreed with and resonated with me. Again, as a proud Canadian, that's tired of getting punched in the face.
Now, for more analysis on this, we're joined by former diplomat Lawrence Herman. He's an international trade lawyer and a senior fellow at the CDAO Institute. He joins us from Toronto. Lawrence, thanks for being here. What went through your mind when you heard Donald Trump make these announcements?
Well, I thought it was outrageous and appalling that's the way Mr. Trump acts with respect to a close trading partner. But look, we're dealing with an unstable, erratic president, and we have to accept that. The question is, where do we go from here? But look, I should outline a couple of important things. First of all, we are not, by enacting this tax, in breach of any trade agreement or any treaty. If we were, he could have a case that we've, offended our legal obligations. There's no treaty, no agreement, no rule of international law, no agreement, as I said, that Canada is offending. So that's the first point. Nothing that we have done that is infringing our trade obligations. Secondly, as your commentary pointed out earlier, this tax has been around for 2 years. It's not a surprise, or should not have been a surprise to the United States. The other thing is, if they were so concerned about this, it could have been on the agenda for the ongoing trade negotiations and could have been signaled that this was going to be a problem in ongoing negotiations, but there was nothing said about it officially by the United States for months and months and months. So this comes at the last moment. And the other thing that is important is that 40 other countries have digital service taxes, including many European countries, France, Austria, Italy, Spain. The UK has a digital services tax, and the Americans agreed, or Trump and Prime Minister Starmer agreed that they would go forward with a new agreement. No mention of the UK digital services tax. So the whole thing strikes me as being erratic, back of the envelope kind of reaction. As I said before, I think Canada should go forward with this measure, even though there are those who think it was inappropriate and inopportune, but we have no choice. We have to go the course, and to retreat at this point under these kinds of outrageous threats would be the wrong move.
Given you say that this came in at almost the last minute, the tax is not a new entity that the United States would not have been privy to. What does that say, do you think, about the state of negotiations?
Well, it just shows how erratic the White House is and the president himself, that this sort of thing would come up at the last minute. And not only that, to suggest that it is an attack on U.S. companies is wrong. It's non-discriminatory. As I said before, there's no indication that this breaches any of Canada's international obligations. It is not discriminatory. It applies across the board. It is perfectly consistent with our trade agreements. But I think what you have here is sort of a reaction at the spur of the moment, and the use of a quick social media posting to try to hammer Canada, which he's trying to do. And it is just not the way mature countries should treat one another in their ongoing trade relations.
Lastly, Lawrence, we appreciate your time. If you're in that room with Canada's officials negotiating this trade deal, and possibly with the Prime Minister, what's your advice to them?
Well, as I said before, I think under the circumstances, Canada should stay the course. We have a policy, and we should continue with that policy. But we could, at the same time, say there are things that both countries need to negotiate. There are lots of things the Americans do that we don't agree with. Let's sit down and see whether we can sort this out and come to some kind of conclusion that mature democratic countries should be doing with one another. That's the way to approach this. But to threaten Canada with tariffs and to talk about an attack on U.S. industry is just unacceptable. It's a foolish response on the part of the president. And I think, as I said before, the Canadian government should coolly, reasonably proceed with this measure, and Mr. Carney and the president should have a serious discussion about where we go from here.
Lawrence Herman, former diplomat and international trade lawyer, a senior fellow at the C.D. Howe Institute. We appreciate your time and expertise. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, kits and cubs. So, again, some more information that what we were doing, completely legal, completely within our rights. All the complaints that are coming there have absolutely nothing to do with reality. They're not tethered to it. But we are also living in Trump's reality, sadly. This is the kind of stuff that we get. Now, from the Government of Canada, when this was announced, June 29th, Canada's new government is engaged in complex negotiations on a new economic and security partnership with the United States focused on getting the best deal for Canadian workers and businesses. Prime Minister Carney has been clear that Canada will take as long as necessary, but no longer to achieve that deal. To support those negotiations, the Minister of Finance and National Revenue, the Honourable François-Philippe Champagne, announced today that Canada would rescind the digital services tax in anticipation of a mutually beneficial comprehensive trade agreement with the United States. Consistent with this action, Prime Minister Carney and President Trump have agreed that parties will resume negotiations with a view towards agreeing on a deal by July 21st, 2025. So this negotiation that was off, we're done with Canada. I don't want to talk about Canada anymore. I don't want to talk to Canada anymore. Well, that lasted couple of seconds. We removed the irritant, quote unquote, and now the negotiations are going to keep on going until July 21st. There's probably going to be more stuff like this between now and then, right? So he's going to find another reason to complain about something before we get there, that's for sure, because he thought that this would upend it. We just removed the irritant. He's got no reason not to talk to us anymore. It goes on. Strategically, that is a key move. But again, on its face, particularly to all those who live in the eternal now, it looks like a cave, right? And it gives them ammunition to run with until such a deal, we hope, materializes on the 21st. The digital sales tax was announced in 2020 to address the fact that many large technology companies operating in Canada may not otherwise pay tax on revenues generated from Canadians. Canada's preference has always been a multilateral agreement related to digital services taxation. While Canada was working with the international partners, including the United States, on a multilateral agreement that would replace national digital services taxes, the DST was enacted to address the aforementioned taxation gap. The June 30th, 2025 collection will be halted, and Mr. Champagne will soon bring forward legislation to rescind the digital services tax. Now, it was the rescinding part of it that really got me here when I was upset at first. And like I said, I'm still not particularly pleased because we are opening a door for all the people from the inside who are trying to take us down and gleefully doing so. But again, there could be more to it, right? So Mark Carney is quoted as saying, in our negotiations on a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the United States, Canada's new government will always be guided by the overall contribution of any possible agreement to the best interests of Canadian workers and businesses. Today's announcement will support a resumption of negotiations toward the July 21st, 2025 timeline set out at this month's G7 Leaders Summit in Kananaskis. And of course, as we know, Prime Minister Carney then came out and said if there isn't a deal on that time, that there would be some counter tariffs that would be coming on from our part. The Honorable François-Philippe Champagne has said Canada's new government is focused on building the strongest economy in the G7 and standing up for Canadian workers and businesses. Rescinding the digital services tax will allow the negotiations of a new economic and security relationship with the United States to make vital progress and reinforce our work to create jobs and build prosperity for all Canadians. Again, you know my bias. I do not believe that there's any progress really to be made with this man, and that there's any deal really to be had with this man, and at least a deal that will last. Let's put it that way. But we still have to play the game. We have to cosplay and pretend that we're dealing with a rational actor who actually follows through on their word once they make a deal, and that word will last longer than it takes for the signature to dry. We know that's not the reality, but we still have to play as if it is. And that is extremely frustrating. No doubt about that. So we get to Mr. Maffin, who brought us a little context, talked about the Arrow. But he also talked about another thing that happened around that time. Around that time, we were negotiating a 12-mile limit in our waterways to stop fishing in our waters. And when we did that, the United States was pissed. So if we look back in history, and I'm going to Wikipedia for this here, in 1945, there were two United States presidential proclamations called the Truman Proclamations. One was about how to manage the continental shelf, and the other was about fisheries. This caused a fast erosion of the concept freedom of the seas. All countries can freely use the oceans for navigation and fishing. Thereafter, many countries claimed resource rights with a maximum of 200 nautical miles. The Canadian coastal areas in the Pacific and Atlantic contain among the richest fished resources in the world. In 1973, Canada's East Coast Territorial Sea and Fishing Zones was 70,600 square miles, or 183,000 square kilometers. Thanks to the extension to 200 nautical miles, it increased to 673,000 square miles, or 1,740,000 square kilometers. This encompassed 96% of the total fish catch by Canadian and foreign fishing fleets in the Atlantic Zone of Canada. The marine life and natural resources in the Atlantic Zone of Canada caused many foreign fishing vessels to exploit it. Since 1958, there was a dramatic increase of vessels from East Europe who joined West Europeans, while the Canadian fishing fleet remained at a stable size. The Canadian and foreign fish caches were endangered due to significant stock declines since the early 70s. The International Commission for the Northwest Atlantic Fisheries, ICNAF, which existed since the 1940s, could not prevent the rapid decline of fish stocks. In 1973, Canada participated in the Third United Nations Conference on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, and it became effective since the 16th of November 1982. The exclusive economic zone section of UNCLOS is described in Part 5. It provides a comprehensive framework for contemporary uses of the sea. It is the result of 15 years of negotiations which were initiated by the United Nations Seabed Committee and then at UNCLOS 3. Before the 200 nautical mile limit was accepted, only 4% of the fish catch occurred outside the limit of Canada's Atlantic coast by Canadian and all foreign fleets. In the Pacific, the Canadian territorial sea and fishing zones expanded from 46,600 square miles, or 121,000 square kilometers, to 135,546 square miles, or 351,060 kilometers. So nearly a tripling. The EEZ encompass all waters seaward of the territorial sea limits to a distance of 200 nautical miles. All countries still have numerous high seas rights for transit and communication. In 1994, the convention was adopted after the deposit of the minimum 60 ratifications. So what happened is that the United States, complained about that. We backed down, giving them, as Todd Maffin says, an easy win that allowed that they could crow about to their bases. But meanwhile, quietly in the background, we were building an international coalition that backed that zone for the fisheries. This, what's going on with digital services tax, is very, very, very similar. We were part of an international group that wanted to bring this about, but we thought it wasn't going fast enough. So we went ahead and did our own. That initiative is still going on. So, even though we are rescinding the law, which was the part of it, most of all, that was sticking in my craw because I didn't understand the purpose of having to do that, it seems that we can afford to do that because quite possibly in a year or two time, because unlike the United States, Canada still has friends, we'll be coming back for it with friends in a concerted effort, as we did with the 12-mile exclusionary zone. If we look at a snapshot of digital services around the world, kids and cubs, this is a concept that is not going away in any way, shape, or form. According to the Canadian Tax Foundation, the evolution of the digital economy has created serious challenges for the world's tax systems, most of which are built on some form of physical connection between the state and the taxpayer. While there remains many areas of disagreement on the best way to address the rise of firms and economic activities that transcend these conventional norms, lawmakers around the world have expressed their commitment to find a mutual agreeable solution. The sudden shock of COVID-19 has not dampened the resolve, but it may have increased the anxiety of some to find immediate-term unilateral solutions, given the risk that consensus may never materialize. Hungary, India, and France adopted digital service taxes before the pandemic, and more have since announced their intention to do the same. Canada announced its plans to consider such a tax in late 2019 without providing much detail. Other countries were studying the idea at the time. Latvia, New Zealand, Slovenia. Some have announced their intention to pursue a digital services tax should the OECD not reach consensus by the end of 2020. Norway, Poland, and Indonesia were part of that group. Some have legislative proposals pending further action, so Belgium and Brazil at the time. Others adopted such taxes in 2020, Austria, Italy, Spain, and the UK. And as mentioned in the conversation with Lawrence Herman, the UK's digital services taxes seems to have been enshrined in the concepts of a deal thing that it signed with the United States in exchange for, I think, 10% tariffs in order to be able to do business in the United States. The EU has rejected a digital services proposal in 2017, but announced in 2020 its plans to reopen the discussion. While many regimes are colloquially referred to as digital services tax, there's a broad range of approaches with fairly significant differences in proposed rates, target bases, and revenue threshold requirements. Some taxes are referred to as digital services taxes, but they are simply extensions of domestic consumption, like VATs, for example, value added taxes, or a GST, for example, here in Canada, to withholding taxes to foreign firms, typically above a specific worldwide revenue threshold. These taxes expand the scope of existing rules that name those responsible for withholding. The tax itself still falls or is intended to fall on the consumer. The focus of this DT log is instead on new taxes imposed on non-resident firms that target income of the firm that heretofore would have been considered foreign source. The taxes we characterize as digital services taxes are typically imposed on a gross basis, but the expansion of business nexus rules to include firms with, quote, significant economic presence, thus attracting local income tax, is a variation on the theme that we will explore as well. And this document goes into this. This document is probably a little dated at this moment, but if you look at it, it has a list, and it says that in 2016, India adopted the Google tax equalization levy that was 6%. Hungary adopted one at a 7.5% rate, which was reduced to zero as of July 2019 until 2023. But they introduced it in 2017. So this is not a new concept here. The European Union proposed a digital services tax in 2018. Australia issued a discussion paper in 2018 about it. In 2019, Belgium the opposition proposed a 3% tax on the sale of user data. It was rejected, but reintroduced in July 2019. In New Zealand, it announced the intention to study the issues in a discussion paper in July 2019. France, in March of 2019, released a proposal for 3%. The USA, in July of 2019, announced the launch of an investigation into the French digital services tax to determine if actionable and discriminatory or unreasonable, or if it was unreasonable policy. So back as far as 2019, the United States started to go, hey, that's not fair. France adopted a digital service tax retroactive to January 2019 in July of 2020. It was delayed to end. It was delayed to end to the end of 2020 after the U.S. threatened retaliatory tariffs. Again, the Czech Republic proposed a 77% DST on revenues from targeted advertising, user data, and digital services. Also, again, in 2019. It was a very busy year for that. In 2019, December, Canada announced plans to consider 3% DST. Slovenia opened consultations on a proposed DST. Slovakia announced plans to submit draft legislation, and the United States released a report finding the French digital services tax discriminates against U.S. companies, is inconsistent with prevailing principles of tax policy, is unusually burdensome for affected U.S. companies. Further action was pending at the time. In January 2020, Australia adopted a digital service tax of 5% on revenues from online advertising or any type of software website rendered in Australia. Italy adopted one of 3%. Latvia commissioned a study on a possible 3%. Norway announced plans to introduce a digital services tax in 2021 if the OECD did not reach consensus by the end of 2020. Spain adopted one of 3%. Turkey, in March of 2020, adopted a 77.5% with the potential to rise to 15%. Indonesia introduced a digital tax on e-transactions based on foreign merchants, service providers, and digital platforms. In April, India announced an expansion of the 2016 equalization levy to include e-commerce supplies or services, effective as of April 2020. The UK adopted a digital service tax of 2%. And Poland announced a plan to adopt a 1.5% surcharge on revenue on video-on-demand platforms. In May of 2020, Brazil introduced a 1%, 3%, or 5% progressive rate on digital advertising services and user data transmission revenues. the European Union in June of 2020 reintroduced the plan for the 3% digital service tax. And then in June, the USA launched an investigation into adopted and proposed digital service taxes of Austria, Brazil, Czech Republic, India, Indonesia, Italy, Spain, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the EU to determine that if any actionable or discriminatory or unreasonable policy was present. And that it informed 4 EU finance ministers of impasse on consensus and would impose tariffs in retaliation for digital services taxes. So this is, again, a bit of a dated document, goes as far as about 2020, but none of this is new. And even certain countries, such as Nigeria, readjusted its definition of permanent establishment in its country to make non-resident digital companies liable to pay taxes on certain income. So Nigeria wasn't adopting a digital services tax per se, but was seeking to achieve a similar result by altering its definition of nexus. Lots of stuff going on, lots of activity going on in this. So for the United States to claim that it is somehow surprised or offended or just can't believe that a country would do that, or that Canada somehow is unique as some kind of cheater here is it's a bit much. It stretches credulity here, but it plays very well to the base at home, right? So it would seem, as we mentioned, that even though we are rescinding, and even though we seem to be giving them a win, this is a movement that has taken hold, that is not going away, and possibly, given a whole bunch of new things, like, for example, our rapprochement with Europe that we talked a lot about last week with Reorient Canada, not Reorient Canada, Reorient Europe, sorry, and and the SAFE program, that there's other things going on. And I read a very, very interesting article over the course of the weekend that made my beaver heart very happy. And at first, I did not connect the two things. But when I heard Todd Maffin talking about how this digital service tax is definitely still on globally, and that in a year or two, we might be coming back with friends, all of a sudden, this article that I read came back into my focus. And I thought, oh, that might be part of what's going on. Now, we've mentioned this maybe once or twice on the show. We haven't been drum beating this, but we wondered, and this was quite a while ago, that Canada was a very interesting position because, we were, as Mark Carney says, one of the most European of the non-European nations, and we have good relationships with the EU. And then we're part of the CPTPP, right? Which is has a lot of Pacific nations involved in it, and a lot of nations in Asia that was participating in that. And I was always wondering, gee, wouldn't it be interesting if Canada, as a member of CETA, the free trade deal that we had with Europe, and as part of the CPTPP, what if those two groups that we were a part of somehow could come together, given that we were a member of both? And could we play some type of role in having that happen? Well, over the course of the weekend, there was some news report here coming from China. Well, sorry, maybe not coming from China, but in a publication that was definitely speaking to audiences that were definitely interested in that which was going on in China, talking about a possible union of some type between the CPTPP and the CETA nations, in terms of a trade agreement, which would be really something spectacular because when you put those nations together, all of a sudden, that's a very important trading bloc. And it's a trading bloc that does not include the United States and that does not include China. All of a sudden, wow, that becomes a little more interesting. Now, because it was a paper that talked about this, I wanted to get it corroborated. So this is from ChinaDaily.com, and the title is EU Considers Asia Pacific Partnership to Counter US Tariffs. This came out on June 27th. International relations and analysts and business leaders have welcomed the European Union's consideration of new trade alliances, suggesting it may be a necessary step as diplomats weigh the choice between accepting a quick United States deal within 2 weeks or risking a longer trade dispute to secure better terms. Facing a July 9th deadline from the US to agree on trade terms, the EU is exploring an alliance with Asia Pacific nations that could reshape global commerce. As reported by Politico, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen floated the idea Thursday that the EU's 27 member states could join forces with the 12-member Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, which includes the United Kingdom, to form a new world trade initiative, noting that US participation would not be automatic. Speaking at the end of an EU leaders summit in Brussels in the early hours of Friday morning, von der Leyen said such a plan would, quote, show to the world that free trade with a large number of countries is possible on a rules-based foundation. This is a project where I think we should really engage on because CPTPP and the European Union is mighty, she added. Von der Leyen pointed out that any U.S. role would need joint EU CPTPP approval, saying, quote, as far as I understand, the Americans left at a certain point. EU leaders will make their final decision under significant pressure, according to Jian Jumbo, director of the Center for China-Europe Relations at Fudan University. Quote, the U.S. is both the biggest investment destination and trade partner of the EU, and the latter just cannot afford to lose the former, he said. So the EU's cards from the very first moment have been rather limited. It had proposed a zero tariff policy, but that was not what the U.S. wants. Instead, the latter pursues trade balance that could only have been possible with a major change to bilateral trade structures. Bilateral. Let me try that sentence again because I tripped over myself. Instead, the latter pursues trade balance that could only been possible with major change to bilateral trade structure. Ireland's Prime Minister Michael Martin told the Guardian newspaper, quote, every effort has been made to get a landing zone that we can live with. It's not ideal. It's not optimal. Europe doesn't want tariffs, but we have to deal with the situation that is before us. Chen Hongyang, a researcher at the China Institutes of Contemporary International Relations, said that the EU-US relations are complex, with trade being just one area where the US might exert comprehensive pressure. Quote, at the just concluded NATO summit in The Hague, European members agreed to raise the defense spending to 5% of their GDP, which should be considered a concession to the United States, he told China Daily. But the implementation of that promise will take a rather long time, and it will be difficult to reach a long-term agreement. By the end of Thursday's EU leaders meeting, there was still no public announcement about whether they would accept US President Donald Trump's terms for a quick deal. According to Chang, the late-night timing of their eventual decision suggests EU members struggled to reach consensus on the challenging US tariff negotiations. Quote, in today's increasingly confrontational geopolitical and trade environment, Europe must prioritize unity and strategic autonomy to protect its own interests in the ongoing trade war. Bernard de Witt, chairman of the Belgian Chinese Chamber of Commerce and senior partner of de Witt Law Office, told China Daily. Quote, while short-term compromises may ease tensions, the EU could focus on reinforcing its industrial competitiveness and diversifying its partnerships globally, including reinforcing the one with China to reduce dependency and better defend its long-term economic interests. For Lei Suti, a researcher from Hong Kong Special Administrative Region working at the Center for European Studies of Guangdong University of Foreign Studies, said that, at least presently, it's a smart move for the EU, which sees little room to secure an acceptable deal by the deadline early next month. Quote, it tries to take a proactive role instead of being passively bullied by Trump as it has been thus far, she said. Quote, instead of following Trump's game of tariff slapping, the EU now initiates a cooperation with the CPTPP. The EU feels more comfortable to play its old game of international rule setting and multilateralism, she told China Daily. Quote, despite the uncertainty of the result of such initiatives, the EU has at least successfully turned tables to be a stronger bargaining position against Trump. So, interesting theory. But is it true? Is there something real to that? In Reuters, from May 13th, 2025, it seems that Sweden said on Tuesday, so this is in early May, it would propose that the European Union join the Pacific Rim-based trading group with the aim of forming the world's biggest free trade area to help counter the impact of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership is a free trade accord deal sealed in 2018 between 11 countries: Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. And since then, we signed a free trade deal with Indonesia as well. Britain joined last year, and China also hopes to join, because China did not join originally. This was something to be done that was supposed to include the United States originally, to try to create a bloc to get around China, and then the United States decided to pull out. So right now, this system, and if they both joined, includes neither of them. So if they wanted to join, they would be joining something that already exists rather than them starting something and setting rules. The rules would already be set. Quote, if the EU and the CPTPP as trade groups linked together, it would create the biggest free trade area in the whole world, Sweden's Minister of Foreign Trade Benjamin Dausa told Reuters by phone from Japan. Quote, at a time when the US is closing itself off more and more and becoming inward looking, there are good opportunities for Europe to open itself up to investment and trade. Dausa, who is currently on a trade, in May, actually, Dausa, who was on a trade trip to several Asian countries, said Sweden would make its proposal on joining the CPTPP at a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Brussels. And I guess they have, because Ursula von der Leyen has now taken it and seems to be running with it and is at least talking very publicly about it. Export-dependent Sweden is one of the strongest supporters of the free trade inside of the 27-nation EU, though Dausa said he expected some member states to be less keen on a CPTPP deal. We are ready to take up the fight with countries like France, he said. France has traditionally been more protectionist-minded, especially regarding agricultural produce. While negotiations could take some time, Dausa said it could be possible to conduct negotiations sector by sector and industry by industry, meaning concrete agreements could be in place relatively quickly. Quote, this is existential for Sweden. If we want to be able to afford our healthcare, schools, and social services here in Sweden, our exporters must have more markets to sell to. The EU already has or is negotiating bilateral agreements between almost all CPTPP members. So this stuff has been going on since May, at least, or before. And now it's starting to get a little more prominence. So when I put this all together, we're coming with friends, and the friends we're coming with might not only be the EU nations, but can include several Pacific nations as well. And if altogether we do this, the largest rules-based trading bloc in the entire world would be coming for digital services tax, and not just us alone. If that is the underlying strategy, that and a potential EU CPTPP union, then I'm quite fine with Carolyn Levitt standing in front of a podium claiming that we caved. Which, by the way, is really, 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 really stupid diplomacy. Because when you have the Secretary of the Treasury asking us for a sign of goodwill, and then he gets it, for them to then run to a mic and go, ha, Canada caved. It's probably not what you want to do with that sign of goodwill. Now, is it? That is the face they chose to show the world. Let's wait a year or two and see how that works out for them. So all of a sudden, again, while I am not happy that this narrative of elbows down gets a temporary boost in this world of living in the eternal now, if this is what we're coming back with, if we're not caving, but rather taking a step back in order to regroup and come back with friends, and a huge number of them that represent a large trading bloc, all of a sudden, that doesn't seem like such a bad move. Of course, the trick will be being able to survive the domestic yelling and screaming and trying to label this as us being weak from the inside to try to take down the current government before this can actually happen. But if that part can be managed, by example, having a whole bunch of little wins somewhere along the way that we can point to, well, then all of a sudden, this might not be such a dumb move. Might not be a cave-in, and the rescinding of the law, which is the part I had a specific issue with, um, does come across as just a regular bargaining chip, because there will be an international coalition looking to do the same thing. And who knows, by the time that comes around, maybe the international coalition will decide that it should be a little more than 3%, given everything that all the hoops that they've made us jump through to get there. They might not be so inclined as to say, well, you know what, it's only going to be 3% at that time. Could be more. So stay tuned, kids and cubs. Yeah. As Kitsasi says, it could be a trap for the United States, and they may be walking into it chin up, ass out. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. All right. Couple of other things that we have for you kids and cubs. As promised, Mark Carney has announced that there will be a by-election in Battle River Crowfoot starting August 18th. So, and they're off officially. So now, anybody who chooses to make a political donation to Bonnie Critchley will now have the ability to get the tax receipt for that purposes. For that purpose, so good thing there. Also, Bonnie Critchley, I have it on authority, will be a guest on the fabulous and fierce Laura Babcock's The O Show on July 18th. I'm not sure if the show will come out that day, but that seems to be the recording day. So there will be more national profile for her. We are in talks with them as well to have her come back to talk to us at some point in July. I know that she's going to be very busy campaigning, but hopefully we can get a little bit more of her time for her to tell us a little bit as somewhere through the campaign how it's going and what the reality on the ground is of campaigning when Pierre himself is also on the ground trying to do whatever it is he does, because as she mentioned on the show, once it starts, she expects it to be a nasty little campaign. So we're going to see what her impressions of that are, if we can get her back. So that will be very interesting, and it will be a delight to have her back because she's absolutely wonderful. More people, of course, have joined the race as well. And the Liberals have announced who their candidate will be in that race just today or yesterday, was it? I believe. So if you are voting Liberal, a gentleman named Darcy Spady is the Liberal candidate there, and we will put his image up on screen so that you who may be there or know people from there can recognize the gentleman if you see him, but not sure how much effort the Liberals will actually put in to this campaign specifically. But we'll see on this one. But it's official. It is happening. Damien Kirk did officially resign his seat, and there's, if you've been following the web, there's definitely been Pierre's definitely been sort of campaigning, but along with him, it seems that Damien is doing most of the work, and then Pierre's just showing up and giving up hugs and spouting his usual lines, but that Damien is opening all the doors for him in that community. So yeah, August 18th will be the day. Again, that's one of the things you heard here when we were talking about it. We had some conservative pundits like Fred Delory saying, no, we could do this and have this done sometime like, June, July. And, so now if you're looking at the dates and all that kind of stuff, we said probably not before, nowhere before August 5th or something like that would be the earliest. Well, August 18th is the date. So, again, you can't always believe the first hot take, and the hot take is often for domestic or, in case of within a country, base consumption. And that was the case there with regard to Fred Delory speculating on a very early by-election date so that Pierre can get this over and done with and have most of his summer to do other stuff. But now he's going to have to be busy in the riding until August 18th. And again, to the community of Battle River Crowfoot who are thinking of voting Pierre Poilièvre because you think you might get representation or a party leader and that will bring extra stuff, it's a trap. Just so you know, it's a trap. This guy's only concerned with himself. Because he is not going to take up residence there. And as soon as you give him the victory, if that's what you do, he's going to go back to Ottawa and then start running for prime minister again. Like that's a thing. And you will have no voice. You will be completely forgotten. He is using you. There's no reason for this by-election whatsoever. And all of us Canadians are now contributing the $1.7 million to $2 billion it will take for essentially the Pierre Poilièvre Vanity Tour to take place. Because he believes he is owed a seat because he's the party leader. He's not. And this isn't a lot of people saying, well, it's not an unnecessary by-election. So yeah, it's an unnecessary by-election because the residents of Battle River Crowfoot were pretty clear and emphatic that they wanted Damien Kirk there by voting him in with 82%. So this is not necessary. This clearly is a vanity project. This is Pierre Poilièvre sitting in front of a camera and a microphone, throwing a Trump-type tantrum. But I'm the party leader. I want it. Give me a seat. This is what it's boiling down to. This is unnecessary. Damien Kirk did not say anything that went against his party that got him booted out of the caucus. He didn't have an ethical scandal of some kind that would have required him to step down from his seat. And the only reason he is stepping down from the seat is because Pierre wants one. And that's it. Totally unnecessary by-election. But we all get to pay. Yay. Other interesting news on this Canada Day is that in the province of Alberta, they have been talking about separation. And, well, it seems that certain things may not have gone as planned for the good, I use that loosely, folks of the Alberta Prosperity Project. And we have here the lovely Miss Lisa giving us a quick little rundown about why it is that they may have goofed up a little bit. And we're cups, please enjoy.
Do you remember when the Alberta Prosperity Project, Black Hat Guy, and the whole little group of them were going on and on and on about how we need to have a referendum. We need to get Alberta to separate. We have so many people that support us. We have a website and everything. Do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become an independent country and cease to be a province of Canada? But then do you also remember that Thomas Lukaszuk got really sick of hearing about that and decided that he was going to file with Elections Alberta, pay the money and everything to ask his very own question? Basically, should all talks of separation just get fucked? Because despite the Alberta Prosperity Project jammering constantly, they didn't do the paperwork, and Thomas's question got in first. And that made them so mad. And Black Hat Guy had to post this, saying that Mitch Sylvester filed its independence referendum petition application. And then he got even madder, and he wrote this big, long letter to Elections Alberta on fucking letterhead, basically saying that the other question is invalid, which it isn't. You guys were just mad that you didn't think of filing it first. Attention to detail. Y'all remember all that? Well, look whose question got approved. That's right. Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? That's Thomas's question, not Black Hat Guy's question. Had they not been so arrogant, they could have filed their question, but alas. So now the real work begins, people. I'll probably be posting a lot, because now we need to get all the signatures so that we can get this question to referendum and finally shut them the fuck up. Go follow Thomas Lukaszuk on his socials. I'm sure there will be updates and call outs for people to volunteer and to help out. Get some comfy shoes because we're going to need to get a lot of signatures. I'm there, Thomas. I will do my whole area. Never put your faith in people who don't pay attention to detail. Oh, they must be mad. So fucking mad. Happy Canada Day, Alberta. And a big fuck you to the separatists.
Yeah, pay attention to detail. So, pardon me, excuse me. So yes, pay attention to detail. And yeah, Thomas Lukaszuk, his question has gone through. It has been deemed valid, and that it seems will be the first question that if it does go through, if Daniel Smith doesn't find a way to upend it, that will go ahead to this type of referendum, provided I believe that they have to get 200,000 signatures. I don't know if there are any rules as to how these signatures need to be distributed across the province. I would assume that they would have to be a certain number from a certain number of electoral ridings in the province. I would assume. I'd have to go read up more about that to see how it is. But yes, the process of collecting the 200,000 signatures to make this a thing has now officially commenced. So there you go. More interesting news. And here we have a Cat W that asked us in the chat, when is the PC leadership review? It is planned for January. So yes, there's a couple of months to go there. All right, kits and cubs. We're getting close to the 2-hour point, so I think that we will say that we have a show. We have much more for you, but that'll be it for today, unless we do decide to do something a little extra later on today. I might be able to do that, given that it looks like it's going to be a rainy day here, and there probably won't be any much outdoor celebrating here. So there might be a second show today. There might be Bonus Beaver for Canada Day, where we can present the other stuff, because, of course, we do have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday accumulated news for you, which if we put it all into one show, we'd have like a 5 or 6 hour marathon for you, which is a little much. So kits and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do. It means the world to us. And especially when you share our content with a little thought of yours with it, because you are influencers in your own circle. And we do appreciate everything that you do to try to draw attention to us. It warms our hearts. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss a single episode of our show because you're a busy beaver or a busy kid on the go, making stuff happen, working in your community, taking care of your family, maybe even taking some time for self-care, well, don't worry about it. We are portable. you can take us with you if you can't watch us here on YouTube. Just scan that QR code that has been made available with a generous contribution by the Ray Girl, and that will bring you to our pod page. And if you're listening, the address is podpage.com/the true north eager beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you go there and click on subscribe when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, zip right into your favorite podcast app feed. You don't have to go looking for us. We come directly to you because we like to help. Now, kids and cubs, if in turn you would like to help us, well, there are ways you can do that. Kits, Cassie, and Elaine are beckoning you to come to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and to play with our buttons, like, share, and subscribe. It's Canada Day. Get festive. When you click it, do it patriotically. Yeah, that's the good stuff. Go there and give us a couple of clicks. That helps us with the algorithm. We really appreciate it. And if you are listening to us on podcasts and have the opportunity to give us stars and reviews, that too helps us with the algorithm. So all that you do, we thank you for it. It's very helpful and it does show up. So it shows up in our numbers. It shows up everywhere. So thank you so much. And it shows up mainly in the number of people who hear from us as well and who check us out. So thank you for all your help. If you would like to help us in other ways, because it is Canada Day and maybe you want to celebrate your favorite grizzly and favorite beaver with a little donation to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund in order to do your bit on Canada Day of all days to keep your favorite beaver moist, because a moist beaver is a happy beaver. So if you click, not click, but if you scan that QR code that just appears in the top corner there, or if you go to coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, and you drop a couple of coins there, some loonies, some toonies. We hear that jingling sound on the bottom. Well, not only does it make us happy, but it gives us such a warm fuzzy, because a cup of hot chocolate for your favorite beaver or a cup of dark coffee for your favorite grizzly, particularly on Canada Day, definitely goes a long way. And it helps us bring this show to you that you have come to love and support. And your encouragement does mean the world to us. So we do this for you. And we hope very much that we are able, that we have earned your support by doing some quality work and maybe even keeping you a little entertained as we keep you informed. Thank you for all your help, kids and cubs. All right, because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs. If you happen to be living in a beautiful Alberta and they come and ask you to sign that thing to be one of those 200,000 signatures, do that. Also, if you're in Battle River, Crowfoot, but elsewhere as well, because it's a federal election, so anybody can donate. So if you would like to donate to Bonnie Critchley, well then, please do so. I believe the email address, but I will try to look for it before the show, is Bonnie Critchley Independent, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'll go get it for you while we're running the credits and actually give you the right one so that you know where to send your donation to help her out. She did receive some before, and thanks to our show as well, so that helped a lot. But this is the time for those of you who want that tax receipt to get it as well. So do your bit to help with civic improvements by making sure that Pierre Poilièvre doesn't get to regain a seat in the House of Commons. That would definitely clean the joint up. All right. Words of wisdom, kids and cubs. It's Canada Day. So whether you celebrate or do not, whatever your reasons, because there are legitimate reasons not to, there are different people that have different relationships with Canada than some of us do. Definitely much different than I do. Whatever you're doing on this day, right? Do it from the heart. And if you can, do it from a place of joy, pure joy. This is the one day we get to celebrate ourselves and wave the flag and be a little rah-rah. So if you are, please do it, but do it from a sense of joy and from a sense of positivity and not from a sense of standing up to somebody or something, or we'll show them. Like this, do it for you, whatever it is that you do today, and have it come from a good, constructive place. All right. Let's see. I think that's everything for now. So, kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there. Please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And on the count of three, may I have a Mr. Beaver, Please cue the cock. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes. And you did it so harmonically. Huh. I have to oblige. I just have to. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Hey, kids and cubs, before we go, a little bit of Canadians who make us proud, and this was a suggestion from Kit Linda. It seems that the 2025 Library and Archives Canada Scholar Awards were, I guess were awarded. Sorry, I needed a better word for that. But according to the Government of Canada, the Library and Archives Canada, in partnership with the LAC Foundation and with the support of founding sponsor Air Canada, is proud to announce the recipients of the 2025 LAC Scholar Awards. Once again, 5 exceptional Canadians are being recognized for their outstanding contributions to the creation and promotion of Canada's culture, literary heritage, and historical knowledge. The recipients for 2025 are Danny Rabadan, an author and LGBTQ plus refugee activist; Gabrielle Bouliane Tremblay, an actress, writer, screenwriter, and trans persons' right advocate; Margaret McMillan, a historian and professor; Rupi Kaur, a poet, performer, and author; and of course, Thompson Highway, playwright, novelist, pianist, and composer. So, the LAC Foundation is an independent, non-governmental registered charity dedicated to supporting the work of the Library and Archives of Canada. The Foundation's mission is to raise funds to support the Library and Archives of Canada's programs and initiatives and to highlight the importance of preserving and promoting Canada's cultural heritage. And the Honourable Stephen Guilbeault, Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture and Minister responsible for official languages, is quoted as saying, "I want to extend my warmest congratulations to this year's recipients of the LAC Scholar Awards. Through their work, they help safeguard what is most precious to us as a nation, our stories, our culture, and our heritage, both its brightest and darkest chapters. Canada is stronger thanks to the leadership and contributions of outstanding Canadians like them." And Leslie Weir, who is the Librarian and Archivist of Canada, said, "Congratulations to each of the recipients on this well-deserved honor. Every award recipient, past and present, speaks to the Library and Archives of Canada's commitment to preserving the voices and histories that define who we are." And they are the 26th to 30th people who have been recognized since the award has come into effect. So there you go, kids and cubs. Because we don't only celebrate athletes, but we celebrate our cultural pioneers and cultural stars as well here at the Beaver Lodge. We're proud of everyone. All right, everyone, have a beaverific day and stay tuned to our socials because I might be back later today with some bonus beaver for you. Given that it's Canada Day, why not a little bonus beaver? Okay, keep well.